So switching over to the tabletop here, the Spyderco Endura in K390, designed by Sal Glesser, made in Seki City, Japan. And first thing you notice about this out of the box is just how overwhelmingly large it is. This is a big knife, 8.75 inches overall. You can see it's completely drastically bigger than both the Spydie Chef and the Sage 1. Very ergonomic in the hand, very slicey blade with a nice acute tip and a good little bit of belly on the blade. Makes it an excellent slicer in my opinion. You can see next to the Rat 1 there, it's about the same size, a little bit bigger than the Rat 1, but very close. And just a large, capable, lightweight EDC folder with a fully ambidextrous backlock, Spyderco opening hole, nice satin finish on the blade. They've chamfered the spine really well. You can see some crude grind marks on the spine and the lock bar there. Plunge grind's nice and square. The hole has been nice and deburred, so it's not sharp at all. Factory edge was left a little bit to be desired in terms of the aesthetics of it, but it was sharp out of the box. FRN scales with the bidirectional texturing, 4-position pocket clip, Chicago style screws, T6 on the body, T8 on the pivot, T6 on the pocket clip. Some jimping on the spine of the handles there. You can see some crude grinding marks on the inside there as well. Nested stainless liners that have been relieved to save some weight. And you can see a lot of flashing all around the scales on the inside, on the logo there, on the back spacer. So definitely some quality control or fit and finish issues with this knife. You can see that back spacer sort of hideous, sticks out from the rest of the scales, has flashing all over it. And yeah, nice beautiful blue color though on the scales. And one of my favorite things about this is the action. It's really easy to Spydie flick it or flick it out with your thumb. Really easy to disengage the lock. The blade falls down right out of the box. It just dropped closed like that, where I could catch it on my finger and then close it the rest of the way. Really snappy lock up. When you open the blade out, it snaps real hard in place. When you close it, it does the same, snaps back in place. Centering is a little bit off, but pretty close to perfect. And a lot of things to like about this, but also some concerns in my opinion. So if we take a look at the lock bar itself and how this interacts with the tang of the blade there. You can see how it's sort of raised up in this position right here, and then, well, you see it better in a second. It's raised up like right here, and then as you open it fully, the lock bar comes back down and hits up against the tang of the blade. And you know, I've only owned this for about 2 weeks now. It's probably been opened, I don't know, 75 times or so. But look at the amount of wear on this, the end of this lock bar already. It's created a large burr at the top of it and indented it in. Here's a picture of it up close. Just looks really rough already, and haven't owned it that long and haven't opened it really that many times. So that's sort of concerning to me, as well as the really thin washers on the inside of this. They're paper thin. So here's the Manix 2 lightweight for a comparison. It's got a similar style engagement with the backspacer on this. And if we take a look at it, I've opened this many more times than I have the Endura, but there's almost no wear on it at all. It's a little bit polished, I guess, or shinier than it was when it was new, but there's no deformation, no burr created on it, no real visible wear. And I know that these are extremely hard because I actually had to drill one out one time when I turned one of my Manix 2 lightweights to screw together construction from the pin construction, and I had it tested. The lock, or the backspacer was 58 HRC, so I'm concerned that the lock bar on the Endura is very soft. Although I don't know, I haven't had it tested. It just definitely seems that way. And then, you know, there's a little bit of up and down lock rock with the Endura. I don't think it's a fit issue. I think it's just the nature of that long blade and the type of lock it is. It allows it to rock a little bit. But I'm not concerned about that. I don't think it's an issue. So looking at this next to the Rat 1, very similar in size. Rat 1's about a 1/4 inch shorter, but what you notice holding both of these in either hand is the weight difference. 5 ounces on the Rat 1 and 3.6 for the Endura. So definitely impressive for the weight on this. And let's talk about the steel for a minute, because I feel like that's one of the most important aspects to this knife. So K390 is a steel created by Bowler, similar to CPM 10V, with slightly less vanadium content to make the steel a little bit tougher. And I believe that it is a good bit tougher, as well as a little bit stronger at the edge. If you guys want to see how this performs for some hard use tasks, like opening this paint can here, check out my performance test on the channel. I'll leave a link in the description. But a brief summary of that, it really handled everything that I put it through with relative ease. I got one chip in the edge after I had sharpened it up, as well as took the very end of the tip off, stabbing it into a piece of copper. But honestly, I mean, it performed very well, and I'm absolutely pleased with the strength at the edge and the toughness of the blade. And then the edge retention is just phenomenal from what I can tell. I did do a fine edge retention test with the factory edge and the sharpened edge after I sharpened it, and it is just really impressive. I got 180 feet fine edge retention with the factory edge and over 200 feet after I had sharpened it. So really impressed with that. And then after the second sharpening, you see here the paint can did no damage to the edge other than some slight dulling, no chips or anything. And the edge retention, after everything I've cut since I sharpened it the second time, it just sort of laughs at it, and I can't really tell any difference in the level of sharpness except for right there at the tip where I opened that paint can. So definitely impressed with the steel, and I think Seki City is doing an exceptional job heat treating these blades. And then back to the knife itself, you know, I'm really impressed with this design, really, just thinking about it back when it was actually created, back in, the 1980s. Must have been, it almost must have looked otherworldly back then, with the hole in the blade and the sort of unique design, as well as having a 4-position pocket clip. Must have been completely different from pretty much anything else in the industry. And that just goes to show that Sal Glesser is a genius and a true innovator in the knife design world, and really exceptional design in my opinion, and a very capable size, even though it's extremely light for its size. And given the fact that it's a lockback, it's got a nice large radius on the scales on the inside and on the spine. It's very comfortable in the hand. Even during the hard use task, I found no real hot spots. I felt like the knife was really solid no matter what I was doing with it, and just really pleased with how it feels in my hand overall. And then the blade shape is also very nice. Sort of a not quite a tall design in terms of your average Spyderco necessarily, but very capable in its shape as well as its geometry. Got a nice distal taper on the blade, so especially out towards the end there, it slices extremely well. It's about 18 thousandths behind the edge and 115 thousandths blade stock thickness. So very impressed with this blade. And you can see me cutting up these peppers and removing those seeds with that fine acute tip. It worked extremely well for that, and was able to get inside of there and remove all that membrane relatively easily. So definitely impressed with the design overall. And just given the overall size of the knife and the length of the cutting edge, 3.5 inches, I could definitely see this being used as a makeshift food prep knife if you needed to in a pinch. Just keep the blade cleaned off if you don't want any patina, or don't, and let it stain it a little bit if you like the look. So wrapping everything up here, I think that the Endura is a fantastic design, in my opinion at least, and I can understand why people love it and why it's been in production as long as it has. I do have some build quality concerns as well as some fit and finish concerns given the price of the knife, but overall I think it's a good purchase, even just to try out the blade steel. I can't say I would purchase one in VG10 for $87.50. I honestly think that's a little too much given what you're getting here, but I'm definitely happy that I own this knife now and will be using it for the foreseeable future. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.